I'm Jeff Forsyth. I'm with a company called Versatile Communications. We have headquarters in the Boston area as well as in Tampa, so we're local here to Florida as well. We were just awarded the HPE Networking East Partner of the Year out in Vegas about 2 weeks ago. We're heavily, vested in HP hardware, so if you have any procurement needs within HP or have networking needs, we're actually one of the go-to partners specifically with HP networking. We wrote a lot of their technical documentations, their training documentations. It's actually how our company started. I've been a technologist for over 20 years, and most of my career has been based upon software development around business process optimization. So often people ask, what does that really mean? It's mapping technology to business needs and creating solutions for folks such that it makes their life easier versus harder, and then allows the company to do more with less is really what it boils down to. So I'm here to talk about Office 365, how it could be used within your organization, but most importantly, how do you introduce it into your organization? So who here actually has Office 365 or is going to Office 365? Do you have it? Okay. How long have you had it?
About a year.
About a year, okay. Do you use all the services or just Exchange? All of them? Well, that's pretty cool, because a lot of people go and migrate just to get away from having in-source or in-house Exchange admins and repurpose those people to do other things. But other people will use it for OneDrive to offload their network storage for personal drives. Do you use the SharePoint components of it as well? And did you have SharePoint before you moved to Office 365? Okay.
I mean, we did on a very small scale, but it was more of an introductory lead-in period.
Okay. And have you used Office Groups? Have you looked at that at all? A little bit?
I'm aware of it. We're not specifically using it to any great extent, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I find as well, is people know the core things. They know, obviously, the Office applications. I'll skip to that slide. They know Exchange. Everybody knows Exchange. It's kind of a commodity. You have Office clients, so you can buy the products, license the products for your Word, your Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook. Download them. It's a subscription model, so your capital costs become operational costs. So some CFOs like that, others don't. And then you have other collaboration tools, SharePoint, Skype. Did you have Skype before or Link before?
Yeah.
You did, okay. So that's one of the things that most people see as a really big benefit of Office 365 is having that collaboration. There are other technologies out there like Slack and a couple other tools that you can integrate with, but since they changed Skype, it's now Skype for Business, it was Link. You can actually communicate with people that are just normal Skype users versus the enterprise version. And Delve, of course, is more of a search technology. The intent there is to take you as a person and find all the information that you might care about based upon trends, whether it's an email attachment that you viewed 3 times, it'll extract it from your email and put it on kind of like a Pinterest board. If people are sharing things with you, it'll show up there too. So it's a nice way to get the information that you need. Sway is, I think of Sway as more like a fancy PowerPoint. It allows you to present digital media in more of a swiping fashion versus PowerPoints like we're seeing here. In fact, I often thought about putting my presentation on Sway just to show it off, and then I thought, well, if we didn't have connectivity and things like that, it would be a pretty bad presentation. And then there's something called Planner, which is coming. Do you have that on your tenant yet?
No.
Okay. That's going to be coming in. It's like a project card deck, so you can do projects, templates within SharePoint. This is a functionality that they're rolling out. If you have an E5 plan, you already have it. E3s are going to get it. They're rolling it out slowly. So that's what they call this here, the waffle up at the top. And those are the services that you get. I have Power BI on mine as well, which is a business intelligence suite that you can connect to your OneDrive and consume an Excel file and do all sorts of visualizations on data. Are you guys anybody using Power BI? No, it's pretty genius actually. It's competing with Tableau and various other forms there too. So you can take an Excel spreadsheet, like I said, publish it up there and create all sorts of pretty charts and dashboards and then present that out to executives. Use it on your mobile, do lots of different things. So we do a lot with Power BI as well. So our company, my division, is responsible for the application services. So we're a VAR, value-added reseller. We sell hardware, professional services, and my group is responsible for doing professional services around applications. So if you wanted to create a particular client portal with your Office 365 tenant, you can consult with us and we'll tell you the goods, the bads, what to do, what not to do, and then work with your team to get it stood up. So this particular engagement process works really well for software engineers, and it's an agile process, and it really allows you to identify something if you're looking at Office 365 or you have Office 365 and you're trying to get your ROI out of Office 365. It allows you to take small steps, incremental steps, measure, reproduce, repeat, and then roll it out to your clients. So the first is really understanding, what do you want to do? Identify the challenges. Do you use Office 365 or SharePoint? I guess a lot of it's specific to SharePoint and the collaboration tools. Do you use that on a daily basis within your group?
Yep.
So you're all IT, all in the same company? All right. And do you put tasks out there as well so that you can see visibility?
We have multiple sites, so it's used at different levels depending on the site. But
Yeah.
It's used every day.
It's kind of a morph into thinking about things a little differently. You have to be a little more diligent for the software to obviously work well. But once you have that visibility and you're reviewing it frequently, it actually becomes a lot easier to walk into work the day, look at your task board, and basically say, okay, this is what I'm going to work on. You walk out, you accomplish everything you needed, and your fellow teammates know exactly what's going on as well. So it really boils down to what is the business need. So when you guys were working through your process, I'm sure you huddled up and said, let's create a calendar so we know when outages are. Let's create a task list so we can keep on task together and know when certain deadlines are. So as long as you know what the challenges are, you can create some sort of vision and say, we're going to go attack this particular problem. So business goals, what do you want to get out of the software? What are some of the pain points? I know a lot of customers say the pain points are, I've got deadlines and I need to make someone else accountable, and I need to share that information, and I need to make sure that they take ownership of a document and I get it back in a timely manner because it's a contract, it has to go out, and then I need to share it with the end user and get signatures. So that's a kind of a common thing to use the technology for, and there's a product called DocuSign, which most people may know about, integrates with Office 365. You can actually send out, we do it right now, scopes of work, and our clients return those scopes of work within probably 2 hours of sending them, whereas normally it would take 3-4 days. They have to sign it, print it, scan it, do all these other things. And you're here with your mobile device right now, you could sign and execute any of the documents right now. So it works out really, really well. So that was one of our business goals, was to get paperwork turned around quicker so that we can begin our projects, deliver them, and obviously it's based on revenue. The other part is finding a solution that people love. So oftentimes, I see it in marketing a lot, where there's a lot of tools out there in the marketplace, and you'll have maybe 3 or 4 tools that kind of do the same thing, but one person likes one tool over another. Has anybody heard of Basecamp? It's a project utility, right? You've used it before. You'll have some folks that'll spin up Basecamp, and you'll have SharePoint sitting right next to one another, and they do literally the same thing. It's just the UI might look a little better in Basecamp, so people will gravitate towards that. So that's a really big thing to consider when you're building a solution, is what does it look like? Not only how does it function, but what does it look like? And at the end of the presentation, I'll show you a couple of SharePoint sites and utilities that we created that don't look anything like the out-of-the-box experience. So focus, user experience. How many clicks? How many drag and drop? How many screens am I going to interact with? So if you can do what's called a single page application and keep the person right on the page, do all the work that they need to do for your application, get them in, get them out, then that's a success. Low-hanging fruit, you hear that term a lot. It's really based upon business value. So if you have something such as sharing documents, the low-hanging fruit there would be, how do I share securely this document with a partner, whatever that partner may be? It could be a project document, it could be a legal document, it could be just statistics of how they consume your product, and you need to do some sort of reporting back to them. Those types of things. The low-hanging fruit is use permissions of SharePoint, have them sign in through OneDrive, which they can federate through many different ways, and then get that one taken care of. Then add workflows to it, so when it comes back and it's acknowledged, it goes to the next user. So try to avoid overwhelming folks. So don't put everything in together. Don't build a project plan that's going to take 4 months to do it. Do things in 2-week sprints, which is agile, and just keep reviewing with the team often so that you don't build something, deliver it, and find out it doesn't meet their needs. So it seems pretty obvious when you say it, but it works very well with Office 365. So this is just a slide. It's kind of a splurt of all of the things that people might need. So it's, we need to know where our data is secure. We need to stay connected at all times. So all your devices, Office 365, you don't have to worry about firewall rules being opened up, and I can't get to my portal, my intranet, because I'm here or I'm on my phone. You don't have to worry about those kind of things. There's mobile apps already available to consume the services. And then, it really is zero downtime. You don't have to worry about your data center. It's distributed across the globe, so you don't have to really worry about access and backups and things like that. For IT individuals, that's a really, really good thing to not have to worry about. So a couple of the top scenarios are store data, synchronize so that it's local. So when you're on a plane, you can actually work on that PowerPoint presentation, save it to your local, it automatically synchronizes it up to SharePoint, and then other folks can look at it as well. They also support something called co-authoring. So has anybody used Google Docs, where back in the day they were actually the first people to create that technology? You can work on it, 2 disparate locations, see each other actually making edits. So when you're on a link call, you can be doing edits real time with various people, and then all within a conference call. And instead of saying, well, give me control over your mouse and I'll type it because it's easier for me to type it than it is to say it, you can actually do that all in line. And then it really is keeping everybody on the same page. So if you present everything and it's transparent, then functionality and deadlines and everything that you set out as your goals is going to work much better. The other part is a strategy to drive adoption. So you could build the best product in the world and nobody knows about it or nobody's willing to use it because you haven't created a strategy on how to roll it out. So when you guys switched over, how did you get folks to know about it? Did you do a webinar or a lunch and learn?
We had a number of different options, webinars, online training.
Mm-hmm.
We basically were live with it about September. In the first few months during the summer before that, we had all the training that they could take every single day at their own discretion to become familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, change is hard. So.
Yeah. Did you move everybody's mail over and they didn't even know that they were in Office 365?
No, we told them.
You told them, okay. Yeah. Some people do. They just say it's a service and it gets moved over and they don't even know about it, and then people will stumble across certain things. And what about governance? How do you control the site permissions? Do you use Active Directory, Azure Active Directory to do that?
We have a SharePoint coordinator who
does
all of that. So yeah, a lot of it is AD based.
Yeah. So that's the other part. Azure Active Directory is a huge component of it, and it's actually being used for all of their services. So it's single sign-on. It synchronizes from your corporate network, brings it up. You can actually have that as your federated auth. You don't even need an Active Directory anymore if you can get your mind around that. You can have your Windows laptops joined to Azure Active Directory versus having your administrators handle Active Directory as well. And you can use it for SQL. You can use it for a whole bunch of different things. So it is out there. Most people haven't adopted that. They want to have theirs and then that be kind of a replica of it so that's available for backup disaster recovery. But make sure you find some people that are early adopters. And I'm sure you had a pilot group that you rolled certain things out to, and then they end up promoting it. Corporate communications, so you did webinars. That's huge. But I worked with a company, and it was a healthcare company in Boston, and they branded their intranet experience as Common Grounds, and they did mouse pads and they did all sorts of stuff. So it really engaged folks. Because when you have the technology, you got to use it, or it's just really not worth the subscription costs. So part of it is a blog, weekly email updates, constantly promoting it, and getting feedback. So if you build something, solicit feedback, make changes, roll that out, and keep that cycle going. You don't roll it out and forget it. It's technology you have to adopt. And then, this is one of these things, make the impossible possible. One size doesn't fit all. You did webinars, you did emails, you did various things because I like to read on my own time, but videos are always a good thing too, because you can come back and kind of listen to and see at the same time what's going on. And lunch and learns are huge as well, because everybody will come for free pizza. So champions are people who adopt the technology. I don't know, you do a ERP implementation or CRM, and there's always one or two people that really get it and become sort of the go-to people within a group. Make sure you identify who those people are and kind of bring them to the top, because they get a kick out of it because they really like being in the spotlight, but they'll also provide that cheerleader effect with other people, and then you'll have lots of folks become on board with whatever you roll out specifically around Office 365. And that goes to the new technology too. So if you're trying to maximize the functionality of, say, Sway, you got to find somebody who has a need for it and then let them do something with it, and then it'll promote it. And typically the younger generation will jump into that type of, because it's very social. Same thing with Delve and the communication between messages and feeds. It's very Facebook-ish. So younger folks like that, some of the older people not necessarily like that. And then it really boils down to how do you measure your success, and that's pretty common stuff to measure. Identify a KPI. I want to turn my contracts around within 2 days as opposed to 2 weeks. Was it successful? What are some of the bottlenecks? Is it because they don't know how to use Office 365 on the consuming end? You might have to do training with your customers. You might have other things like, what was unsuccessful? What doesn't work? It's 5 clicks. I have to click 5 different levels to get what I need. And you might be able to elevate that particular information using search and the user's context and bring all that information right to the person. So I'll go into this part here, which is kind of showing you what you can do with the technology. This happens to be a very, very lightweight. It took a matter of hours to get stood up. It doesn't look like SharePoint out of the box. It's branded. And for this particular nonprofit, all they cared about was putting links to documents, links to applications, and a little bit of news that was out there that was pertinent to their particular company, and then the ability to solicit feedback. So other than that, they were pretty happy just having a couple of links, and they had Office 365, and they got it for outsourcing their email and for the OneDrive components. And then they said, well, we have this, what can we use it for? So it was very, very lightweight. Like I said, it was a matter of a few hours to get it stood up. This one's a bit more involved. It washed out a little bit in the presentation, but this is a fully integrated portal that we did for a healthcare company. Has a set of events. Those could be anywhere from company holidays to events like this that are happening, and it'll show the current month, highlight the box of the days, and then down below it will actually give you some details. You click into it and it'll give you more details about that. Quick links to the middle part here. Let's see if this right here is quick links. So that's your ADPs. It's whatever your business applications are. As IT professionals, you onboard somebody, it'd be better just to say go to there and you'll find all the different applications. And those can be specific to a role as well. So if you're in finance, you might see 7 links. If you're IT, you might see 20, whatever the case may be. And then announcements here, if there's a particular fundraiser, blood drive, something like that that's coming up. And then we use this area here. Those are sort of announcements that we'll swipe through as a carousel. And those are things that really will catch your eye. Very similar to like MSN, any of those applications that are out there. This one has a kind of a bigger background in the back end. We did a stock price. These are news tiles, so they'll rotate through based upon certain categories. So it's using the blog functionality we publish. This is a bunch of just links for insurances, and then new faces. So as your new employees come into the workplace, you can highlight them. We actually have another one. It might have taken it off, but as soon as an employee comes on board, you put in their start date and their birthday, and we'll automatically show anniversaries for the particular month, what their birthday is, and then new hires, all from one list. So IT puts it in as part of their onboarding process, and we have 3 different mechanisms to highlight individuals. This one is a equity firm, and they had multiple locations, so we ended up creating just this really quick time zone and weather web part. So when they were calling across the pond to their London office, they would know what the time was so that they wouldn't either call too early, too late. Same thing for San Francisco, and they could talk about the weather, I suppose. Other things that they ended up having was these support requests. So anytime they needed something, they could put it in there and it would give them a form to fill out and it would route it to the appropriate department. Handbook, that's basically their employee handbook. And then time off requests, we build a time off request application on top of the technology. This is actually a really good thing to put into any Office 365 environment, and that is an employee directory. So you can search for the employee. You might know if you have a large customer base, you know their last name begins with N. I don't know, it's like Hawkins or something like that. You don't really know what department they're in. It'll allow you to refine. So if you do know what department they're in IT, click on IT and it'll refine every person that's in IT here. And then you can drill down and find the person. If you have SIP phones and your VoIP set up correctly, you can click on this link and it'll automatically dial the person. Click on this, it'll email the person, and then it'll bring you to their Delve profile if you click on that. We also do customer portals, like I mentioned before. This is an avionics lending portal. A bank in the Northeast worked with us to allow financial brokers to sell loans to folks that were looking to purchase $5-10 million aircraft. And so their process used to take about 3 weeks to get a loan approved. And I don't know what it is with people that have $10 million to spend, but they want to get their plane really, really quick. So we put this out there and they were able to turn around their decisions within 2 to 3 days. So that helped out. And apparently at the end of the year, there's a big incentive for them to buy aircraft. I guess they have to unload a bunch of their cash or something. And this really, we launched it in the summer and they had a huge uptick in their business. So it paid for itself in the first year. So that's basically it. I just wanted to show a couple of examples of what we've done. And if anybody has any question about Office 365 or leveraging that, doing custom app dev or SQL business intelligence, just come see us over at Versal. Thank you.